Hi everyone, Chillax here and welcome back to another Anchor Panic video. So as you can see before you, Entropy Cataclysm has made its return and now is the time to film an updated guide. The structure of this video will be as follows. First, we'll briefly go over what is Entropy Cataclysm and why we should care. Next, we'll go over the rewards you can get by doing high damage as well as ranking high in this game mode, as well as what to purchase from the Cataclysm shop. We'll go over the 5 teams I will be bringing, as well as briefly go over the most important builds of these operators. Then finally we will do some showcases. So without further ado, let's begin. So first, what is Entropy Cataclysm? It is a bi-weekly game mode. Basically it'll happen twice per month, and it is a 5-day event in which across these 5 days you will have 3 attempts to do as much damage to the boss as possible. You must bring the boss's HP down to 0 in order to go to the next difficulty, you can say. And once you reach the last difficulty, you will be able to do this game mode as much as possible, and it will save your highest score. The more cumulative damage that you do against this boss with your 5 teams, as you can see, you can set 5 different team formations. You will be able to add it together. The more damage you do against the boss, the more of these valuable resources you can get, such as crystal ashes, EXP tickets, as well as the most important resource here, which is pure light dust crystal. Now I did the math, and assuming that you do minimum 30 mil accumulated damage, which is certainly possible now that Frost Jade is out, you will get a combined 14,800 of these pure light dust crystals. And in addition to this, at the end of the 5 days, you will be ranked based on your total damage in comparison to other people within your bracket. And based on your rank, you will be able to get additional crystal ashes, these pure light crystals, as well as a limited time frame. And I would imagine that most of you guys who watch my videos will be able to rank probably 75 or higher, or maybe top 100 if you're a newer player. I'm going to assume that all of you guys are going to rank 100 or higher. I think that's very realistic. So I did the math. You'll get 14,800 plus 3,000, and this is enough to, when you go to the shop, purchase 5 rate-up tickets, 5 sigil tickets, as well as 2 bundles of a resonance bottle, so 8 bottles essentially. What I just stated is what I would recommend that free-to-play players purchase. You buy out this, then you buy out this, and whatever you have left over, purchase the resonance bottle that you need. Now if you've watched my Stellaron video, you will know that I recommend either building Turn or Strain first. And both of them happen to be quantum. So I expect everyone watching this video to be picking up quantum bottles if you have enough of these pure light crystals. Now if you are a whale, there is an alternative idea purchase, which I might personally do, because obviously having more summons and sigil summons is good. However, if you're a whale, you can buy these fairly easily across many different ways, and these resources the bundle offers are refreshed as early as like every week. However, these resonance bottle bundles are refreshed once per month. So if you're a whale and you are concerned about your competitive edge against other whales, you may want to skip this entirely and instead focus on purchasing the resonance bottles, or even the Stellaron boundary cores if you progress far enough into the Stellaron tree. Now if you decide to skip these, you will be able to on average purchase 20 resonance bottles, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so now let's go over the 5 teams that I personally will bring. The first one, which is the highest performing team, is going to be the Mono Quantum team. The reason this scores the best is because it has 2 of the best breakers in the game, has 2 of the best offensive buffers in the game, and it has one of the best DPSs in the game. So this is what I would recommend. If you are missing one of these 2 breakers, you can swap with like a Lilira or a Flicker in order to basically ensure the survivability of your team across all 6 rounds. But if you are a more developed account and you own all of these operators, this is the team I would recommend in order to maximize your damage. Essentially, you're running the double breakers Newcastle as well as Ifrit, who you will run on 4-piece Quantum 2-piece Tenacity Gauge as an example, and then you will run Turn, who along with Strain. If you wanted to maximize your damage output, you're going to have both of them on 4-piece Raging Wave and 2-piece attack boost, because both of their offensive buffs, like the adrenaline buff on Strain as well as the 4 different ways Turn buffs your allies, scale off of attack. And then for Tia, you're going to go 4-piece Quantum 2-piece attack. And then for this next team, this is a Mono Lightning team. This is likely going to score the second highest for your account. You're essentially running triple DPS in the form of Alice, Abyssalicia, and Karanissa, along with a breaker Ling, as well as Echo, who is an offensive buffer, who can sometimes, with her energy burst, delay the enemy's energy burst by 1 turn, which can be very valuable for survivability since we don't have a dedicated healer on this team besides Echo. In terms of builds, you're going to go 4-piece Lightning, 4-piece attack boost on all 3 of these heroes. You're going to go 4-piece Lightning, 2-piece Tenacity Break on Ling, and then you're going to go 4-piece Raging Wave, 2-piece whatever you want, like Lightning or maybe even Precision. Actually, if you want more ideas, you can check out my Echo build guide, but those are some of my top recommendations. For this third team, it's a Mono Ice team. Essentially, you're running double DPS with Ukali as well as Dawn. You're running Abyssal as your breaker, you're running your Frost Jade, who's a healer, and you're running Lang Jiao, who when she freezes the enemy will delay her energy burst by 1 turn, as well as reduce the tenacity gauge by half if the tenacity gauge is up. And then in terms of builds, you're going to go 4-piece Ice, 2-piece attack boost for Ukali as well as Dawn. You're going to go 4-piece. Actually, for Abyssal, you can do a bunch of different things. You're mainly running her as a breaker, so I would recommend 4-piece Ice, 2-piece Tenacity Gauge. I think that's quite reasonable. For Frost Jade, if you want to maximize your damage, because mind you, her talent 2 boosts the attack of the allies, and that scales off of her attack, and her heals scale off of her attack. So for Frost Jade, you can go 4-piece Raging Wave, 2-piece attack boost if you want to maximize the damage output and heals of your team. And then for Lang Jiao, personally, I would go 4-piece Ice, 2-piece. Actually, no, landing her freeze is very important. So I would, unless you are willing to rerun a couple times, I would go either 4-piece Ice, 2-piece Precision, or I would go 4-piece Precision, 2-piece Ice. For me personally, I run 4-piece Precision, 2-piece Raging Wave for PvP build, but yeah, that's up to you. And then this is a physical / quantum hybrid. Essentially, you're running healer and shielder with the quantum units. Flicker is preferable over Lilira because Flicker's burst does quite a bit of damage, and her shields are actually enough to keep the enemy from even retouching the HP meter for most of the rounds. But if the boss ends up doing some damage to you, then Centauria will heal it off with her energy burst. But Centauria is in the middle because of her attack buff for surrounding allies. And then for breaking, you're going to have Rose, and then for DPS, you're going to run double DPS Raven or Yen. You could run Lycosia instead of either of these. My Lycosia, I don't have her signature sigil, that's why I run these two instead. And then in terms of builds, for Centauria, I would recommend that since she's in the middle, if you're worried about her survivability, just go 4-piece block rate, 2-piece like HP. I think that's fine, and then just have model 6 be attack in order to buff her attack buff a little bit more. And then for Flicker, then you can just run her on a defensive build, like 4-piece, or you could go 4-piece HP, 2-piece like block rate or something. I don't remember if she scales off of defense, but that makes a lot of sense to me. Personally, I run her on 4-piece block rate, 2-piece HP for PvP. Her shields scale off of HP. And then for the double DPS, you're going to go 4-piece physical and 2-piece attack boost. And then for the final team, we're going to go mono fire. So the way this works is that you're running double DPS, Olivia, and Merlot. Although instead of Merlot, you can go, what's her name? You can go Marceline. The reason I went with Merlot is because I have Merlot 6 stars, and I'm missing signature sigil for both. But Marceline instead of Merlot works. But I think one way or the other, Olivia is going to be important because Olivia can buff the damage output of surrounding allies. And then you're running Grenache in the center because she will give surrounding allies lifesteal, and that's your heals for the team. And then you're running Sparklewing because Sparklewing, she's a breaker, and she also buffs the crit rate of surrounding allies, as well as apply a crossbow debuff on the enemy, which will do something. I forget. I think lower their fire resistance. And then you have Quasar as your dedicated tank. Now in terms of builds, you're gonna, for double DPS, you're gonna go 4-piece fire, 2-piece attack boost. For the 2 breakers, Grenache and Sparkling, you're going to run 4-piece fire, 2-piece tenacity gauge. If you're worried about Grenache's survivability, you can also run 4-piece like block rate, 2-piece either fire, or I guess if you want to break better, then tenacity gauge. Okay, let me pause the video for a moment. Sorry, I had to get a drink of water. So I think the way I will do this is I'm going to do a showcase of the top 3 best performing teams, because I think these are the 3 teams that most of you guys will have built, so you probably want to see how they perform in order to, you know, have confidence in these teams. One thing I want to talk about real quick before we start with the ice team is that for those of you guys who don't have Dawn or don't have Ukali, there is an additional alternative that is very good. I actually started building her and may have her in the future video if she ends up performing better for me. You could run Core. The reason is because Core is a breaker who, if I was to go over her kit real quick, shout out to Qual for recommending her. She is unique because with her energy burst, she is able to apply a frostbite stack, which when the target takes ice damage, there is a 60% chance to increase the damage taken by 25%. This is double the highest ice resistance lowering that any other operator can apply. Because if you look at Abyssal, if you manage to get her ice corrosion off, she applies a 15% reduction, but you only have a 35% chance to apply it, whereas with core you have a higher chance to apply an even greater ice resistance lowering with core. So I just wanted to point that out. But I need to finish building core as well as do some practice runs with her to ensure that she can survive, which I think you definitely could, especially if you have an A3 Frost Jade. So that is something very important that you should consider, especially if you are missing Dawn. But because I took the time to build Dawn, so I'm just going to run this team. Let's go ahead and do it. And I should mention that the reason I have a plus sign formation for all 5 teams is 1, for positional considerations for buffs, and 2, the boss will always target the center, which in this case will be Frost Jade. Yeah, and I have it at 3 times speed, that way, you know, it doesn't take forever. And because we are running double breaker, right? Well, actually, technically we're running single breaker in the form of Abyssal, and then we also have Lang Jiao, who lowers the tenacity gauge via frozen status. Yeah, like that. You saw the tenacity gauge went down to 0. You should be able to break the tenacity gauge on Ashe, who's the boss, every other turn. In this case, we did it on turn 1 because this is the lowest difficulty, which is quite easy. Yeah, so as you can see with the ice team, we were able to handle the first stage fairly easily. Okay, so now we move on to the next difficulty. So now I'm going to show you the next best team, which is this lightning team. Abyssalicia will be the target of Ashe, who does focus opposite, meaning she focuses the symmetrical opposite position on the opposing side. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. Last time that I filmed this guide, I released the video on the last day of the boss, but because it took time to upload the video and make timestamps and everything, I think I released the video when the game mode was over. So this time I'm showing it in the beginning, but I have a lot of confidence in these teams, because these teams I have run in previous iterations of this game mode and just have been optimizing them every 2 weeks essentially. Yeah, so not much to really say. As you can see, I can beat this boss within the first 2 turns, which is quite nice to see. And as you can see as well, there's only 6 rounds, which is unlike other game modes, so you really have to make each round count. Okay, and then we have the final game mode, or the final attempt. You get 3, and this is the final team. If you are having survival issues, you could swap one of the breakers out for Lilira, but if you can survive, then it would be best to go double breaker. Alternatively, because Newcastle's in the center, you know, because she provides neighboring allies with 18% quantum damage boost, you can have her on a more defensive build, like 4-piece quantum 2-piece block rate, or even 4-piece block rate. But Newcastle does a lot of damage herself, so ideally you want her on a more offensive build. Yeah, and as you can see, because it's a harder difficulty, so it takes a little bit more time to bring the HP bar down. And note that if you are unsatisfied with the run, like let's say you ran a team but forgot to equip some model sets, like you're swapping model sets between your different teams, which you can certainly do if you are low on fully built model sets, then you can click the widget and click exit battle and it will not consume your run. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I hope you found it informative. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.